You're watching a daily roundup right here on your home channel, NBC1. We're going to move on now with more interviews. Now, Africa's Travel Indaba is an iconic African leisure trade show owned by South African Tourism with a specific objective of creating a market access for our vast array of African leisure tourism products. Now, this year's Africa Travel Indaba 3-day trade show, preceded by a dedicated business opportunity networking day, abbreviated as BONDay, which seeks to create a platform for thought leadership, knowledge sharing, and obtaining the latest global trends and local insights. Joining us now on the line to highlight more on this year's Africa Travel Indaba, which was held last week, is the Acting Chief Executive Officer of the South African Tourism, Nomasonto Ndlovu. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Such an interesting event that you quite, held here. But maybe just give us a roundup of the impressions that this year's event actually has.
Yeah, it was a very big event last week. If you recall that coming out of COVID, this was the biggest event that we were all attending in person. So we regarded it as a huge success. In terms of the numbers, we had over 1,000 exhibitors. We had almost 2,000 buyers that came from about 72 countries around the world that were interested in buying Africa. So all in all, a very successful show, and we look forward to another big one next year.
All right. Now, of course, like you mentioned, a big one indeed. How did the show sought to address the thorny issues around, visa facilitations, security, and how Africa's tourism is positioning itself for a strong restart for post the pandemic now?
What was interesting is that, with our new minister, Ms. Patricia de Lille, she's demonstrated her commitment to engaging the right stakeholders to make sure that we can unlock the visa issues that remain an issue, in the continent. So she has been engaged with quite a few of the stakeholders. But what was the other important issue that was discussed was that one of air access. We know that without air access and in the continent, we are not going to get the numbers that we are looking for. So as South Africa, we've been very hard at work engaging a whole lot of airlines to fly back into South Africa, and I know that this has been happening around the continent. We open the skies, we know that will more than double our tourism numbers. So those were some of the key topics that we spoke about. We also spoke about some of the new experiences that people are looking for. Coming out of COVID, they want to do new things. But the one common thing that they still want to see in Africa is to feel the beat of the region and engage with its people, because we are known to be warm people in Africa. I think that comes from our weather, but we are warm, and the world has taken up to that, and they want to see more human interactions when they come out to the region.
Right. And of course, it goes without a doubt that, there are some challenges experienced in this whole thing. And, maybe you can just give us some of the challenges that, African countries are still faced with in the tourism sectors since COVID-19.
One of the major issues that we face as a continent is that we remain a long-haul destination. So as I was saying, that air access is quite critical. It doesn't matter how much we sell our experiences, our big five experiences and all of that. If people can't get here, it won't help anything. So that remains one of the biggest issues. The other one, as I said, is the ease of travel from a visa point of view. People getting visas from wherever they are across the world. South Africa is rolling out this e-visa regime, and I know that other countries are also doing that, within the African region. So that also becomes another barrier that remains a huge deterrent when people are thinking of coming out to South Africa or to the region in general. There is still some perceptions and people are not sure about their safety. This is why it's so important when they come out to Indaba, we take them around, we make them experience South Africa, we make them take the tours around all of South Africa, from Limpopo to the Western Cape, to the mountain, all the way to places like Sun City, as well as KZN and Johannesburg, so that they can experience and see that sometimes the perceptions and the fears that they have, they might not necessarily be true. So that is how we were discussing some of the major issues that are impacting our tourism as an African region as we try to recover from the COVID-19.
I think apart from the challenges that just mentioned there, we do know that there are also some successes or some great things that you're actually doing that the Indaba is kind of also focusing on, which is also women empowerment and support of SMMEs to help scale their businesses. Can you just briefly just share more on this, please?
Thank you so much. As South Africa, our strategy is not only to promote the well-established and the mainstream tourism products and services, but we are actually very focused on making sure that we get the SMMEs and the youth and the women to actually participate in the sector. So for this Indaba, South Africa actually brought about 123 SMMEs that we facilitated, and we brought them to the event to engage with the international buyers. The minister also held the Women in Tourism sort of breakfast, where she was engaging women in the tourism sector, who we know that they are the majority of the people that work in the sector. However, they remain having some challenges, and the minister was talking to some of those challenges and sort of outlining what she would like to see going forward, how we can try and deal with some of the challenges that lead to women not getting into powerful and senior positions within the industry. The issue of youth actually came out quite sharply during the BONDay. It was one of the topical issues that were discussed, to say the sector needs to now try and make sure that we do bring in the youth into the sector, and they also participate equally like the rest of the product. So it is a platform where we try to cover some of these other areas that not everybody talks to every day. Because at the end of the day, tourism is all about jobs. If I can share with you, for example, that this particular Indaba we came out of last week, we created 250 permanent job opportunities, real, that came from the hosting of this event. So the messages are, if we continue to host some of these big events, we know that we can create jobs. If we support tourism, we can create jobs. And if we do that, we then contribute to the economy. The economy of Durban alone is estimated to gain an extra 113 million rand into the economy, just coming out of this tourism Indaba. So we know that if we push tourism, we can make a difference in our economies, wherever we're coming from within the region.
Nomasonto, thank you so much. I think this is quite one event to look forward to, and I think we can't wait to see what next year's one actually upholds. So thank you so much, and just keep up with the good work. Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'd love to see you when you come to South Africa again, so that we can
absolutely
and have more discussions around this topic of tourism.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was the acting chief executive officer of the South African Tourism. That was Nomasonto Ndlovu, just talking to us about the the recently concluded Africa Travel Indaba. Now, still watching our daily roundup right here on NBC1. We still have more content. This time, another interview coming your way. Stay with us.